no voice, the people can always be brought to the bidding of the leaders. That is easy. All you have to do is tell them that they are being attacked and denounce the peacemakers for their lack of patriotism and exposing the country to danger. It works the same in any country. Hermann Göring. Anyone recognize that in the last few years? As Abraham Lincoln said, public sentiment is everything. With public sentiment, nothing can fail. Without it, nothing can succeed. He who molds opinion is greater than he who enacts the laws. And he might have added, he who molds opinion can enact any law he bloody wants. Mein Kampf, Adolf Hitler, all propaganda must be so popular and on such an intellectual level that even the most stupid of those towards whom it is directed will understand it. People can be made to perceive paradise as hell and the other way round, to consider the most wretched sort of life a paradise. It's the terrorists, we've got to protect you. Give us your freedom, give us your power, give us your civil rights. Oh, there's another one, yeah. There's another version of this now. It's called no problem reaction solution. You don't actually need a problem, you just need the public perception of it. Weapons of mass destruction. It's a mind game. It's a mind game. Where does action come from? Thought. Control the mind, control the thought. Or control the action. There you go. Invasion checklist. A reason. We'll make one up. And what you find, because of this problem reaction solution situation, is the same people who come from one side, we must protect you from the terrorists, are actually working with the, quote, terrorists to bring about the problem, which they then offer a solution to. This is 1983, Saddam Hussein, on behalf of the Reagan-Bush administration, being met on behalf of the Reagan-Bush administration by Donald Rumsfeld, and Donald Rumsfeld was bringing message from America that they would help him bring biological and chemical weapons for use against the Iranians in the Iraq-Iranian war. Then people say sometime later, oh yeah, we've got to stop Saddam Hussein, he did chemical weapons on the Kurds. Yeah, the chemical weapons that the people condemning him gave him. And don't take my word for it, this is from a newspaper report of documents that came to light in 2002, State Department documents. Donald Rumsfeld, the US Defense Secretary and one of the most strident critics of Saddam Hussein, met the Iraqi president in 1983 to ease the way for US companies to sell biological and chemical weapons, including anthrax and bubonic plague cultures, according to newly classified US government documents. In the year 2000, Donald Rumsfeld was on the board of a European engineering giant called ABB, which sold nuclear technology to North Korea. When he became Defense Secretary, he condemned North Korea as being a danger because they had nuclear capability. We're seeing now, as I mentioned earlier, we rejected GM food through pressure groups and through public pressure, and now, because of rising food prices and all that stuff, they're having another go at it. And there's a line I've used in the books over the years, many times. If it's the agenda, it will not take no for an answer. So when the public reject elements of the agenda, they wait and they'll come back again. France, the Netherlands rejected the European Constitution. They found a way around it. They would normally have had another referendum. No way, they would lose that and they knew it. So we'll just change the name to the Lisbon Treaty. The Irish voted against that. They're not going to let that go. It's the agenda. They're not going to let something as irrelevant as public opinion change that. Nor GM food. You watch them continually having another go to bring it in. And I'll just finish on this, on the one, the totalitarian tiptoe. The totalitarian tiptoe is a term I came up with some years ago to describe this technique which interacts with problem, reaction, solution all the time. You know that you're going to stage Z. That's your goal. Like when they started the European Union, they, or the European Common Market as it was, they knew they were going to the centralized superstate. But we just fought a war to stop the central control of Europe by the Nazis. No way they would have got that in. So what do? You start your stepping stones. You're going to Z, but if you go in one leap, then people are going to look up from EastEnders or whatever, and they're going to go, what's going on? Because the change is so blatant. So you go from A to B to D to H. And you go in as big a leap as you can, but not so fast that you're going to get a massive public reaction. Although the totalitarian tiptoe is now becoming the totalitarian sprint. That's how the European Union went from a free trade area to what it has become now, and after the Lisbon Treaty, what it is destined to become. Otto von Habsburg. Habsburgs are one of these bloodlines I'm talking about. He was, that family was behind the Pan-Europa movement that instigated the European movement, which became the European Union from the start. He's still the honorary head of the Pan-Europa movement. That's its symbol. And they want to break Europe up into regions. You see, when you've got the coordinates, things that seem like okay things suddenly take on a different light. For instance, it seems that power is being devolved to Scotland and Wales, and they tried to get the English regions as well, having regional assemblies. They couldn't quite get it through. They'll have another go at that as well, because it's the agenda. And on the face of it, if you don't know the background, that's a good thing, devolution of power.
Yeah.
But when you realise that they want a centralised superstate in Europe, which controls not countries but regions of Europe, then the regionalisation of Britain, which on the surface seems a good thing, takes on a different light in terms of the structure is being formed for what they know the goal is. In America, the North American Free Trade Agreement, like I said earlier, is being totalitarian tiptoed to the American Union. They even have a name for their currency, at least it's a working title, the Amero, to replace the dollar, the peso, and the Canadian dollar. This is the structure they want. And we're down here. And it's coming into the fine detail of our lives. Globalization. I love that. It's people that reject that there's any kind of global conspiracy going on. To create an Orwellian superstate, they then pick up their banners and say, stop globalization, stop globalization. What is globalization? It's the centralization of power agenda unfolding before our eyes. And I just want a free trade, yeah, like hell. I just want to go through here. I want to pick up one thing, and then I'll finish. In fact, it's down there somewhere. Never mind, I'll tell you about it. Just for your future reference. I had a letter from a traffic warden in Britain who told me of a strange story which he didn't understand and asked me if I could put any light on it. What had happened is he's been a traffic warden for a long time, just giving out parking tickets. And he's called in by his boss, and his boss says, gives him 3 cards. One card is his authorization to be a traffic warden. The second card is what they call the pace card. That's the words that a policeman has to read when he's arresting you. You do not have to say anything, but anything you say may be, and all that stuff. And the third card was his authorization to enter property. So he's a decent guy. He said to them, I'm a traffic warden, I give out parking tickets. Why am I given this pace card and property? Nothing to do with me. He said, take it home, put it away until further notice. A few days later, he's with a group of traffic wardens outside the local police station. And an older friend of his walked out carrying a case, a policeman. And he started having, general conversation with the traffic wardens. And then, after a while, he called his friend, the guy that wrote to me over. And he said, I want a word with you. And 5 times in the conversation, he said, you must